Hey everybody, it's Luke from Part-Time Heroes. We want to thank you guys for getting online, download the new record. We're excited about having some new stuff out for y'all, and hopefully you guys are enjoying what you're hearing. The making of the record was a little bit schizophrenic in the sense that in the past on our albums we've always been able to go in a studio and record in the span of a week, 2 weeks, maybe take a month. This one was recorded over the span of a year and a half at different points in time. Different musicians came in and played on it. We did it at different studios, one in Los Angeles and one in Charleston. And to be honest, we still have a lot of tracks that are in the studio that are unfinished or close to being finished that we'll release probably later on this year. When we look back, we noticed we had a ton of video footage from recording and traveling, and we thought it'd be a good opportunity to put this film together and include you guys on what it is we've been doing for the last year or so. Packing up all your gear and your clothes and throwing it in the car and moving 3,000 miles away to a city where you really don't know anybody is difficult for just about anyone. But whenever I got out to Los Angeles, I was pretty excited about being there. Part-Time Heroes had been touring in the Southeast for a number of years, and it just kind of felt like we were at a standstill. And I'd signed on with a manager based out of Los Angeles, so I was really eager to get out there and start working with them. Since the band stayed behind in Charleston, one of the first things I did was start auditioning people to play with. And the process is pretty painfully interesting. We had a lot of great people and great musicians come in, but a band is a pretty fragile democracy, and at the end of the day, I just didn't feel like overall things gelled with the people that we were auditioning and everybody that was coming into the rehearsal studio. I first met Kent Hertz back in 2002, I think it was, when he was engineering the Now or Never EP in Miami. He'd since moved to Hollywood and was doing some production for people like the Black Eyed Peas, Pink Spiders, Rob Thomas, Macy Gray, and some other acts. And we reconnected whenever I moved out to LA and got to hang out a bit. Over a couple of months there had been some setbacks, and I'd finally gotten out of my management contract. I remember I was pretty bummed at the time, and I'd stopped by the studio one night, pick up Kent. We were going to a party somewhere. There was an acoustic guitar in the lounge of the studio, and we're sitting there watching TV, and I started playing the opening riff for Good Time. And he looked over and asked me what it was. I told him it was something I'd been working on. And he kind of got excited. And next thing I know, he drags me into the next room, and we start hooking up microphones, guitars, and start sitting down and writing the rest of the tune. And that's kind of how the process started. And he and I have been recording together ever since. With everything that transpired leading up to it, I think that the recording of the record and working with Kent definitely saved me, musically speaking. Kent wore so many hats on this record. The guy's a genius. He played bass, drums, some piano, did production, engineering, and he's one of the very few people that I trust with every single thing I do, and I was lucky to be a part of it. I'm getting away with murder. I'm getting away with murder. The gunman's name just ain't known for sure. Mac moved out to LA, I guess, about 6 months after I did. He moved out to do some solo singer-songwriter type stuff. Mac and I had been friends for years. When he was playing guitar in Five Way Friday, we toured together. I can honestly say that the record would not have been anywhere close to what it was if Mac wouldn't have been around. Mac's got an old school rock and roll type of vibe about him, and I think it definitely showed on how he played on this record and everything that he did that made the songs what they were. He and I completely fight like cats and dogs, but I think it's because we've been through so much, living in a dingy apartment in West Hollywood, traveling together, sleeping in cars together. It's definitely in a brotherly way. Every songwriter I know is sensitive about what they create and handing it over to others, but whenever Mac and I are writing or working on a verse, a chorus, structuring a song, sometimes we'll go head to head and duke it out about some things, but I think at the end of it, what's best for the song always comes out, and the end result's always something positive. Tell you he woke up dreaming about the Chesapeake last night. The dashboard's burning, the wheels are turning. It's been 600 miles. Now bundle up my thoughts, lay my head to rest. No, I'd sleep much better if I could get this off my chest. And God knows I try to breathe in all the air up here, keep it all inside, but
wondering about the Chesapeake last night. The clothes he's wearing are smoke-filled rags, and he's a sight for your sore eyes. Now bundle up my thoughts, I lay my head to rest. I know I'd sleep much better if I kept this off my chest. And God knows I try to breathe in all the air up here, keep it all inside. But if the timing was right, we'd rest our bones on the eastern shore tonight.
At the beginning of the year, we all found ourselves back in Charleston for various reasons, and we had about half the album finished out in LA, and there was a lot of scheduling conflicts and other scenarios that prevented us from finishing it up out there. Brent had been flying back and forth between LA and Charleston over the last year, which is pretty taxing for just about anybody, but if you know Brent and his role within this band, for the last 3 years, he's pretty much been the force that kept everything together. He's always got the plan, he's always got a way to figure out problems. His role as a musician and just keeping us all sane and productive is so valuable. I think everybody's pretty excited to have, the four of us back in a live room in the studio, recording it the way that we like recording, playing the tracks live and then going back and doing as little amount of overdubs as possible. We tracked 3 tunes, the first one being Sugar in the Gas Tank, which I'd done an acoustic version of a couple months before, and Aaron and Brent and myself had worked on it, doing some pre-production, and it turned into something really different than what we'd imagined once we all got in there and started playing together. It's a lot of work, but I always think it's funny when I hear musicians being interviewed and they talk about the recording process and act like it's a massive chore. I mean, it is, but you never hear them mention how much damn fun it is when you get to lock yourself in a place with 3 of your buddies, musicians you admire, and get to create something and walk out of the studio with it. After tracking Sugar in the Gas Tank and Movie Scene, we finished up the record with a song called Murder. Mac and I had written the song about a month or 2 earlier while we were out in LA. It's definitely one of the more different songs on the record and has a haunting feeling to it. We wanted to make sure that came across when we were recording it.
Are we rolling?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Let me tell you something. I know I'm wearing a bandana right now. Let me tell you something. F*** American Idol. You know what else? F*** 4-2. You know why? I don't need some fucking asshole from England dressed up like some asshole from Kazakhstan or wherever the fuck he's saying to tell me how dumb most Americans are, right? I know how dumb most Americans are, right? We voted for George Bush twice, okay? Twice, alright? I don't know how to say Kazakhstan, alright? We watch American Idol, alright? Yeah, Sasha Cohen, you're a fucking genius.
Kazakh.